CataractCoach.com. Tell me about ophthalmic consulting, and as a young ophthalmologist, should I become involved? I was very fortunate to be involved in ophthalmic consulting, which means working with the big companies who make our products that we use in ophthalmology for more than 20 years. If you look behind me in this poster, you can see that's a picture of me. This was an advertisement on the back of every magazine, every eye surgery journal, both peer-reviewed and trade journals, about 20 years ago. The date is December 2001. That's 18 months after the finishing of my residency. And I was so blessed to work with Bausch & Lomb to be involved with their promotion of their new phaco machine, the Millennium. Now, the Millennium, you can guess by the name, was a fantastic phaco machine at around the turn of the millennium, around the year 2000 or so. And though we don't use that machine anymore, it's evolved to a newer platform, a newer design, more advanced technology. I'm very thankful for B&L for giving me the chance to work with them. I was able to do live surgery events for B&L dozens and dozens of times on multiple continents in so many different countries. I did live surgery in Hong Kong, in Vietnam, in Singapore at the Singapore National Eye Center, in Italy at Lucio Barato's meeting. I mean, you name the meeting, I was so lucky. The American Academy of Ophthalmology. I was lucky to be the surgeon doing the live surgical event. And that was really a pleasure for me. But I also worked with them in the development of new instruments, new technologies, new IOLs, everything across the board. And the advantage for you as a young ophthalmologist, should you desire to work with these companies, is you can shape the future of our field. You can help develop the new technologies that we're all going to use in a few years or 10 years or so. And you really can give an incredible input that will shape the future and the landscape of ophthalmology forever. Now, to work with these companies, they're always looking for young blood or new ophthalmologists who can have something to offer, who can bring something to the table that's tangible for these companies that they can use to either develop new products, educate the ophthalmologists in the community about the new products, and things of this nature. And you want to be involved in that, so let me tell you how. Now, to work with these companies, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what do I have to offer to these companies? The companies will pay you for your time and your expertise. Don't worry about that. That's the least of the issues. The question is, what do you bring to their team? And think of each company as a baseball team. They don't need to have 20 pitchers or 20 first basemen. They want to put together a good cohesive team with all positions filled. So asking yourself, what do you bring to the table that you think is most valuable? Are you a fantastic first baseman? Then stick with that and don't worry about playing catcher. Similarly, if you are great at doing surgery under pressure, maybe you should focus on live surgery events. If you have a background in innovation or engineering, maybe you should be involved in the development of new technologies. Maybe instrument design. I designed my own set of instruments at about that age, 20 years ago. And those are now made by stores. So you can be involved in any aspect that you desire. You can also be involved in the ophthalmology education world. Now, you know about the Academy meeting in the ASCRS, and you go and you give lectures and talks and you get some ideas across, but it also happens on a smaller scale. Some regional meetings and some meetings that are even just very local. You've all been to a dinner locally in your hometown where you had a 10 or a dozen ophthalmologists and they had an out-of-town speaker talking about a particular product or surgical device that they're using. And you can do the same thing. My advice to you is a fewfold. Number one, give the talk that you want to receive. If you're going to give a lecture, give the lecture that you think would be very interesting. Now, you are confined by some of the agreements with the companies. They have a certain slide deck that's been cleared by their legal department, and you can't really deviate too much from that. But in other aspects of it, let's say you're talking about a phaco machine, you can showcase how you use some of the properties of that phaco machine to help conquer a very tough or challenging case. Maybe you have a way of explaining the optics very clearly. What if you can explain an aspheric lens and negative aspheric lens to a generalized audience of ophthalmologists in a more simplified manner? So that's all very valuable as well. Maybe your best attribute is being able to write very good, understandable, simplistic to a degree for people like me, articles in the trade journals. We'll do that. Other people say, no, I want to be involved in clinical trials. I like clinical trials, and I'll be able to produce very good data with excellent patient outcomes and follow-up. Then do that. But you got to ask yourself, what are you going to offer to the company? And then the companies will certainly gravitate towards you. Another question I get asked is, well, who do I speak to at these companies? And the answer is, it starts locally with your local rep. The companies have a chain of command. You work with your local representative of that company in your operating room or in your clinic. And the first thing is to reach out to them. That person will then reach out to their manager or district manager and say, hey, you know what? I've got a young surgeon who really has some incredible talent, and I'd like to introduce you to her. Then you meet the regional manager. Then you may meet the national sales manager. And then you may meet the people who are involved on the national level in the innovation aspects of it. But it all starts locally. So get to know your local reps from all the companies. And then go from there. You know, when you aspire to be a key opinion leader, there are a lot of great role models. In today's world, you can look at Dick Lindstrom, who's like the godfather of ophthalmic consulting. And you can look at Eric Donenfeld, who's an incredibly astute and sharp person when it comes to anything ophthalmology. And you can look at David Chang, who's a fantastic person in education for ophthalmologists. But you can still just be you. You don't have to emulate those people. And you don't have to copy their style. My advice to you is to be yourself. Always remember and think to yourself, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt and Al Pacino and Jim Carrey, all household names in the acting world. But of all those actors, they don't all go out for the same roles. You would never expect to see Al Pacino and Jim Carrey competing for the same role, right? Well, same with you and me. I get to be me, and you should just be you and bring your passion and your personality to the table. And that's the easiest of all, and it's the most genuine. And that really does come across. And when you're giving your lectures, remember, give the lecture that you would want to hear, because that has the biggest impact. Now, there's one important consideration when you do ophthalmic consulting. You know, a good friend who's a fantastic ophthalmologist is Paul Singh. Paul Singh from Wisconsin. And he's really blown up. He's a fantastic doctor, a great surgeon. He does a lot of things in the cataract world, in the MIGS world, the glaucoma world. He merges the two. He's a glaucoma specialist as well as a cataract surgeon. Incredible doctor. But I told him years ago, early on, just remember about balancing your home personal life and your ophthalmic consulting life. Because if you want to, you can fill up 100% of your weekends. Essentially every weekend, the entire year, being on a plane, traveling somewhere to give some sort of lecture, some sort of talk, maybe do a live surgery event, etc. But is that really what you want? And I'll give you a confession. I made the mistake early on of biting off more than I could chew. I traveled the world. I would do an international trip every month. I would do 20, 30 trips in a year. And the years just went by, and next thing you know, my children were just growing up, and I was like, wow, I missed out on so much. So I was not very good at balancing the two, my personal and family life compared to my key opinion leader, ophthalmic consulting, traveling the world life. And ultimately, what's actually more important? And it came to me one day where I received a letter in the mail from one of these hotel chains that say, hey, congratulations, you're our now double diamond elite level. And I thought, yes, so amazing. Until I realized that meant I spent 63 nights that year in that hotel branches or brand. 63 nights out of 365? I spent 1/6 of the entire year in that hotel. All of a sudden, that double diamond status wasn't something that I was proud of. I was kind of ashamed of it. So I made a decision then to talk to some more senior members of the ophthalmic consulting world. And it was Dick Lindstrom who told me, he says, Uday, spend the time with your kids and your family. You'll never get that time again. And ophthalmology and ophthalmic consulting will always be here. You can always come back to it. So I did just that. And I did 7, maybe 8 years of no consulting, no trips. In fact, even when there was an academy meeting or ASCRS meeting, instead of going to the meeting, I take my family on a trip. And I'm so happy I did that. Best thing ever. Now that my kids are grown up and I have a lot more free time, guess what? Ophthalmology is still here. When my kids both went off to university, moving far away from home, that's when I said, you know what? Let me put together CataractCoach.com. And that's when I started with these videos. It's late. It's 9 p.m. LA time. And that means it's 11 p.m. in Chicago or Wisconsin.
Chicago. It's all good.
Where my buddy Paul Singh is. You know, I woke up this morning at 4 a.m., so it's a hell of a long day.
Dang.
But of all the people who I think are like the amazing key opinion leaders of the future, I was like, anytime I see something from Paul Singh, I say, wait, I gotta watch this. Because I know you are 100% genuine. And so my question to you is, there are a number of young ophthalmologists, younger than us by a couple of decades, 30 years old. And these gals and guys straight out of training, they want to be the next key opinion leaders. And I want to encourage them. And I want to ask you, what advice can you give them? This 30-something-year-old who's straight out of training, who wants to be KOL, what advice do you have to offer?
Oh man. Well, first of all, thank you for even letting me be part of like anything you do. Because I always admired you, man. And I got to just tell everybody, my dad was an ophthalmologist. I learned a lot of, what I'm going to say to you today is a lot of what I came from my dad. But I remember my dad had so much respect for you, and he used to always go, follow Uday. But and I tell you, one thing he respected so much from you was when you said, look, to me, take time to spend time with your family, balance your life. If you don't balance your life, without balance, it's you can't succeed in anything you do, whether it's eating, whether it's partying, whether it's work, whether it's family. But he had so much respect for you. So for me to be even associated with you and being and part of anything you do, I just am honored. So thank you for letting me be part of this. But I'll tell you, man, for me, I've been lucky to have the opportunity to really share and educate and learn. A couple basic. I'm gonna get it kind of high level, then I'll get in the granular way. First of all, high level, you got to be passionate for whatever you do. Whatever you want to get out there and put your name behind, you got to believe in it, and you got to have passion. You got to sit there and say, I want to learn more, and I want to educate, and that kind of the cyclical learn, educate. If you stop having the passion and the desire to keep learning, then you can't teach. I really believe that, because teaching inherently, for me, the definition is someone who teaches also has to learn at the same time. And so never believe that you know everything. Believe you're always something to learn. But in the context of take what you've done, take what you've learned and the passion you have and what you've done, and being able to then convey that message. So first of all, number one is passion. Number two is you have a lot of responsibility anytime you go out there and put your name behind something and you're trying to kind of talk to people about whatever, what's a product, whether it's a technique, whether it's anything else you're describing, you have a lot of responsibility, because when you put your name behind it, you are affecting other people's practice patterns, other people's views of the profession.
And how they treat their patients.
And how they treat their patients, man, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's your responsibility. So if you do something and you're not credible, if you don't do something with the pure intention behind that, then what happens is you could really screw someone else up, screw their profession, screw that patient up. So you really ought to remember that, number one. Number two, if you're doing something that's out of the box, you got to know a lot about that technology, about that technique, about that topic. Because there are things that I've done in my career, and the reason why maybe some people sometimes listen to me is because I've kind of pushed the envelope along with a lot of other colleagues of mine, like Ike and you and others and stuff I really respect. But it's pushing, when you push the envelope and you, let's say for me, floater treatments with a laser or some MIGS devices or something.
Yay, vitreolysis. I learned so much from you. I owe you dinner.
Let's do it, man. I gotta go have a little Scotch whiskey with you, man. No doubt. But seriously, one of the things that my dad, when I came out of fellowship and I started doing a lot of laser floater treatments, I never thought I'm gonna be out there talking about this and be a KOL for vitreolysis. But I started doing it in my practice. And I'm like, why the hell are people out there not talking about this? So the first thing for me was a question: why? And if it's not out there, find out why. Mm-hmm. And then what I realized was it wasn't that it didn't work or people were against it. They just didn't understand it and didn't know enough about it. Yeah. So for you have to have this understanding of why. What can I bring? What is needed? What can I help my profession with?
What are the value? What value do you? What do you bring to the table?
Exactly. What value do you bring? What makes you unique? But also, what are you trying to help convey that's going to help differently than that's already been out there? And you made a good comment to me earlier. I'm going to plagiarize you. Is you don't have to be another KOL that's already out there. I mean, you can give names, right? Be your own KOL. Bring your own flavor. Bring what you and you.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
You got to bring you. You got to
be yourself.
Bring yourself. Be yourself, man. Be you. My daughter has a website called Okay to Be Me. OKTOBEME. It's about saying it's okay to be you. All the good and the bad.
I love it.
Bring it.
I love it.
That's I love it. No, but then number two is this: if you really are passionate about it, you got to be hungry and you got to pay your dues a little bit. I think you got to pay your dues. I'm not saying
what does that mean? Pay your dues. Tell me about that.
Okay, so pay your dues means get out there and not only lecture like all the time, but go to meetings, meet people, kind of learn from people. I think it's really important when you go out there.
Be committed to it.
Be committed. It's not just, can I get a quick, talk and then I'm never. No, you got to make connections, right? Make those. It's about relationships in this business. Whether it's a relationship with industry, whether it's a relationship with colleagues, everything we do is based upon do people trust you? Can you build that relationship? And so it is about going to meetings. It is about emailing people. It is about learning. It's that constant. It's not like a one weekend thing and then you're done for 6 months. It's a consistency that you said as well. So I think these are all things you got to do to make that happen.
Well, one thing I love the most about you is anytime I see your face, I'm like, I know that my guy Paul is going to talk from the heart. So if he's going to say anything, it's something he absolutely believes in. He actually does it in his own clinic, and he will teach me some valuable pearls.
I love it, man. Being true to what you do and being credible, without that, you can never be a KOL, in my opinion. Because once you lose your credibility, Uday, you've lost all ability to help in your profession.
Oh, it's funny you say that. I always say it takes 10 years to build credibility. It takes 10 minutes to lose it.
Absolutely. And it's so crucial. And so never take a shortcut. Never accept something that you truly in your heart don't believe in. Because people, first of all, man, people see through people who are not genuine.
Yes.
I really, there are people out there and you're like, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, really? You know better. You know you don't believe that. Come on, what are you doing? And so I think that's one thing for a KOL, a younger person who's out there wanting to be kind of out there and speaking and learning and, kind of at boards and stuff. Just be genuine. And I'm so glad you brought that up because if you're not, you'll regret it, but people will see through you. And then the any value add you have is gone once you lose that credibility. That's so true, man.
So are you, like me, ready to take a back seat to some young 30-something-year-old who wants to be the next KOL? Because I'm ready.
Honestly, I kind of am now. Like, I don't think I'll ever stop wanting to be involved. Like, I think to me, it's not about the notoriety. People are like, hey man, so even like, for instance, how do you like speak for all these companies and you're for this company, and even competing companies? I'm like, because I do them all. Like, it's not like one company is good, one company is bad, or one product is good means the other one has to be bad. If I use them both, here's when I use it, here's how I use them, and I may not use both at the same time.
I want more tools in my toolbox. I want to offer every possible thing to my own patients.
Absolutely, and life is not black and white. We don't use one thing, right? So to me, it's about, I want to still have that involvement. I want to still be kind of understanding on the cutting edge of what's out there, what's next. I want to have that. But to say I have to go to do every single talk out there and every single meeting and be gone 3 days a week, you made a great point to me earlier, and you're right. And one advice I can have for all you youngins out there is, don't lose time with your family. You have to give them some time. And so every once in a while, what I've learned in my family is that they're like, look, they know it's a passion for me to get out there and still talk and speak and learn and meet people. But my wife, I've learned, is just once in a while, just pick me. Just,
that's so good. That is so important.
Just pick me. Just say, I could accept this talk. Hey, honey, I have this talk in about a month I could do. And guess what? I'm going to say no because I want to be home with you. Just every once in a while, do that.
You're so smart.
And she's so right, because now as my kids are growing older, my daughter said the one thing to me that killed me the most.
Tell me.
It was our first day of senior year in high school. She goes, Papa, because I was gone again. She goes, you're gone again a lot, because I'm getting on the whole lecture circuit again, right? And she goes, Papa, do you know today is the last first day of school in this house for me?
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God. Like, and I just started bawling, dude. I was like, oh my God. Like, it hit me.
That's your baby. That's your baby.
My baby's going to be gone in less than a year. What? And so it's just that I look back, and I'm not saying I have regrets, but I look back and you think I have time. They'll be there.
But the years go like this.
They go like this as you get older, and you realize every once in a while they won't say it because they know how much I love this profession. I love what I'm doing. They respect the passion I have. But every once in a while they'll even say, Papa, but you're not here enough. Like, and just a couple of phrases here and there. So my advice is balance. That's the one thing.
Balance is key.
Balance is key. And my mom taught me that many years ago. If you balance your life, you can do a lot. But you got it. Any extreme, you'll pay the consequences for it.
I think, what? You've done a fantastic job with that balance, because I made the mistake of being too extreme on one end, trying to make it up on the other end, and then finally I figured it out, because honestly I'm not as smart. But,
I don't know about that.
But at the end, I think that's great advice. So let's summarize this. So for the young 30-something-year-old person who's watching Cataract Coach, who says, you know what, I love learning from these videos. I know Paul Singh. I see his stuff all the time. I want to be a key opinion leader like Paul Singh and Devgan. He ain't shit, but I want to be like Paul. So what advice do you have for these young ones who want to be in your shoes? What's the best advice? My advice was I just said, be genuine and only talk about things that you truly believe in and love.
Yeah, I think I would say, to me, it's almost a paraphrasing what you said. It's just whatever you speak about, have passion and feel like you're a young kid who still wants to learn more about that. So in other words, for me, genuine, because if you don't do what you're talking about, you can never truly answer a question someone has, because you'll be stumped. But more importantly, you still have that young kid desire to say, I still want to learn more about this.
Yeah.
I know there's more I can do, there's more I can learn, there's more I can give. No, so the best thing you can do is have passion for what you're doing, believe in what you're doing, because only then can you actually start to teach others. And having that need and that desire to still want to learn more about that. Because I feel for me, even in the MIGS world, right, I'm still figuring out, oh my God, every time I learn something new, I'm like, there's so much more to learn. Today, I just was doing a study in the office of intraoperative OCT with another device looking at viscodilation of the canal in real time. And I was like, oh my God, like I was like a 5-year-old kid when I saw the video and I saw it. I'm like, I was like, it was really dilating. Like, oh my God, like still get excited about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that only comes from being genuine and really enjoying what you're doing. So yeah, man, enjoy what you're doing. Be passionate, be genuine, believe in it. and that will come out. And then be consistent out there. Keep putting stuff out there. It'll come. Don't try to force it. Don't try to force it. If you keep doing it, you keep going to meetings, you keep submitting, you keep trying to do articles, and eventually people are like, hey man, who is this guy? Who is this lady? I want to learn more from that person.
You know what? That's so key. And I didn't understand this early on, that it takes years of consistency to become a KOL. Years. It's not going to happen in 6 months.
No. And you got to keep pushing forward. And there are going to be moments where you may not, feel like you're being successful yet. But it's not about that. If your goal is only to be famous or to be that's not how you do it. The goal is to actually say, you know what, I want to be involved in the learning and the education part of it with my colleagues and learn to actually develop relationships. If you feel like you truly want to learn and you want to be a KOL, build the relationships organically. Meet people at meetings. Yeah. Get to know them. Don't just use them because they can make you a KOL. Get to know them as people, man. And people want to be with people they like. That's how it works, man. That's kind of my thoughts.
I love it. And my advice is, at the next Academy meeting coming up next week, or the ASCRS, I'm going to come hunt you down and say, Paul, give me some more advice. And I encourage all my Cataract Coach viewers, when you see Paul Singh at a meeting, you pull him aside and say, Paul, help me out here, brother.
I love to help out, man. You've helped me out so much. You've helped me out way too much. You guys, you are such an incredible teacher and educator, man. And congratulations, man. I know you finally moved on outside of teaching officially in the academia. Now you're in private practice full time, huh?
Private practice, baby.
I love it, man. Your kids, tell me your kid. I hope you don't mind me bringing this up. I know your kids are going to be joining you soon, right?
Time will tell, but you know what? My kids are much smarter than me. You know why? Because they never listen to me. So that just tells me automatically you're smarter than I am. Anyway, Paul, I want to thank you. This has been so incredible, so helpful. I'm going to have this up on our Cataract Coach video, and so many of our viewers are going to really enjoy from this. Again, thank you. And in my opinion, you are the number one KOL right now, because everything you ever do, to be very frank, is from the heart and absolutely genuine.
Oh, man. Shukriya. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, brother. Really means a lot. Back at you. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
So the answer to the question is, yes, you should be involved in ophthalmic consulting, but only to the degree that you feel is best for you and your family and your personal situation. If you're going to miss a week of work to go give some lectures, is it worth the financial loss? If you're going to miss your child's baseball game or ballet dance, is it worth it just to work with the companies? So figure out that balance that's appropriate for you. And that could mean, hey, almost every weekend you're on a plane somewhere if that's what you want. Or it could mean that, no, I'll be a little more selective. Back in the days, 20 years ago or more, I consulted for many companies. There was a time where I mistakenly thought that the length of my disclosure list gave me validation. Like if I had 20 disclosures on my list of 20 companies, that was like some paper army general with 20 pretend badges on his chest. It didn't make a lot of sense. And so now, if you look at any of my disclosures, I only work with companies that I'm truly passionate about, that I truly love, and I love their product, and I love the idea, and I want to get involved, and it's a passion project. Because at the end of the day, no matter how amazing your consulting gig is, it's just not worth the money. Life's more than money. Life's not about money. Life's about your passion and your balance of your family life and helping your own patients, and yes, doing some ophthalmic consulting. So I trust that you guys will figure it out, and I would love to hear from you in person at one of these big meetings and say, hey, I saw your video, I took your advice, and here's how I'm working to shape the future of ophthalmology. And in the future, in 10 years, I want to do a new surgical technique and use a new surgical device and a new surgical machine that you develop with these companies. And that would make me really proud. Thanks for watching.